Book 2. You are the Navigator, the Architecture of Agency. Part 5. The Navigator's Protocol, the Story of the Glass Box. Chapter 1. The Three Musicians. Imagine you are hiring an accountant to manage your life savings. You hand him your shoebox of receipts. He takes it, walks into a steel room, and locks the heavy door behind him. You hear typing. You hear whirring. A week later, he slides a piece of paper under the door. It says, "You owe the government $5,000. You knock on the door. "Why?" you ask. "How did you calculate that? Did you include the deduction for my home office? Did you see the donation I made?" From behind the steel door, a muffled voice replies, "It is too complex to explain. The math is advanced. Just pay it." Would you trust this accountant? Would you hire him again? Of course not. You would fire him immediately. You would demand to see his work. Yet, this is exactly how we treat artificial intelligence today. We feed it our data, our medical history, our financial records, our city traffic logs, and it vanishes into a mathematical, sealed room. It comes out with a diagnosis, a route, or a credit score. It offers no proof. It offers no memory of how it got there. This is the definition of the black box. It is a system that demands your submission rather than earning your trust. The architecture of agency. To become the navigator, we must fire the secretive accountant. We must tear down the sealed room and replace it with a glass box. In the technical world, we call this the agentic enterprise. But for us, the metaphor is simpler. We are not building a brain in a jar. We are building an orchestra. In this new architecture, we do not rely on one giant mysterious AI to do everything. Instead, we assemble a trio. Think of them as three musicians on a stage. Each has a specific instrument. Each has a specific personality. And, crucially, each has a specific limitation. Let's meet your new team. 1. The Scout, the AI agent. The talent. The Scout is the dreamer. It is creative, fast, and intuitive. It can read 1,000,000 books in a second. It stands on the mast of the ship and scans the horizon. It is excellent at saying, "Navigator, I see a pattern in the noise." The Flaw. The Scout hallucinates. It loves patterns so much that it sometimes sees things that aren't there. It sees a shape in the clouds and calls it a castle. It cannot distinguish between a correlation and a cause. The Role. We use the Scout for discovery. We ask it to find options, but we never let it sign the check. 2. The Verifier. The causal agent. The talent. The Verifier is the engineer. It has no imagination. It does not dream. It loves rules, physics, and math. If you ask it to calculate the stress on a bridge beam, it will give you the exact same answer 10 million times in a row. It is built on certainty, the flaw. It is rigid. It cannot improvise. If it encounters a situation that isn't in its rulebook, it freezes. It refuses to guess. The Role. We use the Verifier for execution. When we need to pay a bill, route a truck, or administer a drug, we hand the job to the Verifier. It executes the task perfectly, and it writes every single step down in the open ledger. 3. The Conductor. You, the talent, you have context. You understand the things that cannot be calculated. Ethics, emotion, nuance, and long-term consequences. You know that efficiency isn't everything. The Flaw. You have limited bandwidth. You cannot read 1,000,000 books in a second. You get tired. The Role. You are the architect, the shift from passenger to architect. In the old way of thinking, humans were seen as the emergency brake. We thought our job was to sit back, let the AI drive, and only grab the wheel when the car was about to crash. This is wrong. That is not agency. That is panic. In the Navigator's protocol, the conductor doesn't wait for a crisis. The conductor writes the score before the music starts. Before the scout looks for a path and before the verifier moves the ship, you define the values. You define what success looks like. You tell the system, we value safety over speed. You tell the system, we value privacy over profit. You tell the system, we value family time over optimized scheduling. You encode these values into vector cards, specific instructions that the machines must follow. You are not just checking their work, you are defining the boundaries of their world. The handshake. This interactions creates a new kind of workflow, a handshake between three distinct intelligences. 1. The conductor, you, sets the value. Find a route to the city, but never route us past the elementary school during recess. 2. The scout, AI, explores the possibility. I see 3 routes. Route A is fastest but passes the school. Route B is slower but clear. 3. The verifier, causal, tests the reality. Route A violates the conductor's safety protocol. Rejected. Route B is valid, locking in Route B. And the entire performance, the instruction, the search, and the decision is recorded in the open ledger. The anxiety you feel about AI is the anxiety of the black box. It is the fear of being judged by a ghost you cannot see. The solution is the glass box. It is time to step onto the podium, pick up the baton, and teach the machine how to play your music. Chapter 2. The handshake. Imagine you are standing on the bridge of a ship in the middle of the ocean. A thick, white fog has rolled in. You cannot see the water. You cannot see the horizon. In the old world, the world of the black box, you would surrender. You would flip a switch marked autopilot and hope the machine could see through the fog. You would stand there, gripping the railing, heart pounding, praying you don't hit an iceberg, but completely unable to steer. This is the silent failure. It is the feeling of being carried by a system that does not speak to you. But on the Navigator's ship, the protocol is different. We do not surrender the wheel. We engage in a conversation. We initiate the handshake. The handshake is the rhythm of trust between you, the conductor, the scout, the AI, and the verifier, the causal agent. It is how we move from guessing to knowing. There are 2 specific handshakes you must learn. One is for when you are lost, discovery. The other is for when you are moving, action. Protocol A, the discovery loop, finding the map. This protocol is used when something is broken, but you don't know why. Let's look at a real city. There is an intersection on Main Street where accidents keep happening. The black box city planner looks at the average traffic flow and says everything is fine, but you, the navigator, look out the window and see the crushed glass on the asphalt. You know something is wrong. You initiate the discovery loop. Step 1, the target, you. You do not need to know the math. You only need to know the pain. You point to the intersection and say to the scout, focus here. Why are cars crashing? In technical terms, you are defining the scope. You are telling the machine where to look. Step 2, the search, the scout. The scout wakes up. It doesn't just look at the road, it looks at everything. It scans the weather logs, the sun angles, the tyre treads, the traffic light timing. It uses its pattern-matching brain to sift through the noise. Suddenly, it signals you. Navigator, the scout says, I see a correlation. The accidents almost always happen between 5 p.m. and 5:15 p.m., but only in November. Step 3, the signature, the verifier. This is just a clue. now we need proof. We hand this clue to the verifier. The verifier checks the physics, it checks the geometry, it returns with a causal signature, a fingerprint of the problem. Confirmed. At 5 p.m. in November, the angle of the setting sun hits the glass of the office building on the corner, blinding the drivers in the left lane for exactly 12 minutes. We have moved from bad luck to physics. We have found the map. Protocol SB, the arbiter loop holding the wheel. Now that we know the problem, we need to fix it. We need to install a smart visor or change the traffic light timing. This is where we use the arbiter loop. This is the protocol for running a system without falling asleep at the wheel. And crucially, this is where you, the conductor, act as the architect. Step 1. The vector card, you. Before the system takes a single action, you define the rules. You hand the verifier a vector card, a set of standing orders based on your values. You write, Order 1, eliminate the glare risk. Order 2, maintain traffic flow. Order 3, value constraint. Never stop traffic for more than 3 minutes unless a collision is imminent. You are not just telling it what to do, you are telling it what you care about. Step 2, the flow, the verifier. The verifier goes to work. It handles the routine perfectly, day after day. It monitors the sun angle and adjusts the visor. You can step back, the traffic flows. Step 3, the pause, the human constraint. But then something strange happens. It is November, but it is a cloudy day. A sensor malfunctions reading glare, while another sensor reads dark. The verifier calculates its next move. It could guess. But if it guesses wrong, it violates your value constraint, Order 3. Because you programmed it to respect your values, it does not force a solution. It pauses. Step 4, the glass box request, the escalation. A light flashes on your dashboard. This is not a failure. This is the system working exactly as you designed it. It hands the baton to you. It presents a glass box request. Navigator, I have a sensor conflict. Safety protocol suggests stop traffic, but this conflicts with your flow constraints. Order 3. I am pausing for arbitration. How do you wish to proceed? Step 5. The decision, the conductor. You look out the window. You see the clouds. You use your common sense, the one thing the machine does not have. Ignore the glare sensor, you say. Keep the light green. The machine executes your command. But it does something else too. It writes your decision into the open ledger. Tick 405. Conductor, overruled glare protocol due to cloud cover. The system has learned. You have protected the city not just from an accident, but from a rigid, stupid rule. The end of blind faith. This is the essence of the Navigator's protocol. We do not want machines that are smart enough to do everything. We want machines that are smart enough to know when they are stupid. We want a scout that admits it is just guessing. We want a verifier that freezes when it hits a value conflict. And we want a human conductor who has defined those values in advance. When we build systems this way, when we insist on the handshake, the fog lifts. We are no longer praying for the autopilot to save us. We are driving the ship together. Chapter 3. The Art of Trust. Think about the person you trust most in the world. Maybe it is a partner, a parent, or a lifelong friend. Why do you trust them? Is it because they are perfect? Is it because they never make mistakes? No. You trust them because you know their history. You have a shared memory. When they make a decision, even a strange one, you can ask, why did you do that? And they can explain the steps that led them there. You can see their reasoning. Now, look at the smart devices in your life, your banking app, your newsfeed, the GPS that suddenly reroutes you. Do you trust them? You rely on them, yes, but relying is not trusting. You rely on gravity, but you do not have a relationship with it. Trust requires a conversation. Trust requires a history. In the world of the black box, we are forced into blind faith. We are told to trust the machine because it is smarter than us. When it denies our loan or hides a news story, we are expected to accept it as the will of a digital god. This is not trust. It is submission. To become the navigator, we must replace blind faith with calibrated trust. We need to build a relationship with our machines where they earn our confidence, one explained decision at a time. To do this, we need a new instrument. We need the open ledger, the part that cannot be erased. In the technical architecture of the agentic enterprise, this is called the reasoning ledger. But to us, it is simply the ship's log. Imagine if every time your AI scout had a thought or your verifier took an action, it wrote it down in permanent ink. Crucially, it wouldn't just write the result route changed, it would write the thinking. And most importantly, it would write about the things it didn't do. Tick 301. Scout suggests route A fastest. Tick 302. Verifier checks route A against safety protocol. Tick 303. Conflict found. Route A passes a school zone. Tick 304. Option rejected. Reason: violation of conductor's safety value. Tick 305. Selecting route B. This is the power of the open ledger. It doesn't just show you the path taken. It shows you the dangerous paths that were ways avoided because of your rules. It proves that the machine is listening to you. The living gauge, but a ledger is history. We also need to see the present. Walk into an old factory. You see pressure gauges with needles that twitch. You can look at a gauge and instantly know if the machine is healthy. You feel the pressure. Now, look at your dashboard at work. It is probably a spreadsheet. It is static. It is dead. It tells you what happened yesterday, but it doesn't tell you the pulse of the business right now. In the Navigator's world, we replace dead spreadsheets with smart cells. Think of a smart cell as a living gauge. The old way, a database field that says budget, $10,000. The smart cell, a living entity that says, I am the budget. I currently hold $10,000. I am being drained at a rate of $500 an hour. At this speed, I will be empty in 20 hours. I am vibrating with anxiety. When we build our systems with smart cells, we stop reading reports and start feeling the rhythm. The vignette, the architect's save. Let's see how this changes a life. Meet Leo. Leo runs a small logistics company. In the old world, he treated his AI routing software like a magic 8-ball. He shook it, asked for a route, and hoped it was right. One month, the AI routed his fleet over a toll bridge to save 5 minutes, racking up $20,000 in fees. Leo was furious, but he was helpless. He was just the passenger. Now, imagine Leo as a navigator. He understands that he is the architect. Before his trucks even leave the garage on Monday morning, Leo opens the glass box. He pulls up the financial vector card. He writes a rule into the system's conscience. Rule: efficiency is good, but solvency is vital. Hard constraint: never authorize a route cost exceeding $5 per mile without my direct approval. Leo isn't fixing a mistake. He is defining reality. The incident: it is Tuesday at 10 a.m. A massive accident closes the highway. The Scout AI wakes up. It scans the map. It finds an alternative. The Skyway Bridge. It is wide open. It is fast. The Scout says, route found, ETA preserved. In a black black box, the truck would simply turn and Leo would lose money. But Leo has a verifier. The verifier looks at the scout's plan. It looks at the toll price, $50. It looks at the mileage. It calculates the cost, $8 per mile. It checks Leo's card, $8, $5. The system slams on the brakes, not the truck's brakes, the decision's brakes. The handshake. Leo gets a ping, glass box, request financial conflict. He opens the ledger. He sees exactly what happened. Tick 905. Scout proposed Skyway Bridge. Tick 906. Verifier flagged cost constraint violation. $8, 0 mile. Tick 907. Action paused. Awaiting conductor. Leo smiles. The system didn't fail. It succeeded. It respected his values over its own optimization. He looks at the cargo. It's not urgent. He types, "Deny bridge, take the long way." The system logs his command. It learns. Leo didn't lose $20,000. He didn't even lose his cool. He simply conducted the orchestra. Earning the right to drive. This is calibrated trust. Leo trusts his system not because it is magic, but because he taught it the rules of the road before the crisis hit. He trusts it because the ledger proves that it will choose his values over its own speed. When you have an open ledger, you stop fearing the ghost in the machine. You realize the ghost is just a student, and you're the teacher. You have the team, Chapter 1. You have the protocols, Chapter 2. You have the trust, Chapter 3. Now, we are ready to leave the harbour. We are ready to apply this power to the things that matter most, our bodies, our cities, and our homes. It is time to open the field guides. End of Part 5. Part 6. The Healing Navigator. The story of the patient's ledger. Forward to the patient who is tired of being a puzzle. In Part 5, we built the shelter. You met the scout, the verifier, and the conductor. You learned how to replace the anxiety of the sealed room with the agency of the glass box. You learned that trust isn't about blind faith. It's about seeing the work. Now, we must put that architecture to use. We are moving from the abstract to the intimate. We are going to apply the Navigator's protocol to the most complex system you'll ever manage. Your body. The challenge here is not that the machines are silent, like the black box. The challenge in healthcare is that the machines are shattered. We are dealing with a system that sees you not as a whole person, but as a pile of disconnected receipts. We move from the anxiety of the black box to the healing of the glass box, which is why we must first address the fractured mirror of the electronic medical record. It is time to pick up the pieces. Chapter 1. The fractured mirror. Imagine you wake up tomorrow morning and walk into your bathroom. You stand in front of the sink to wash your face, but instead of a mirror on the wall, there is a pile of broken glass shards on the tiled floor. You kneel down and pick up a jagged piece. In it, you can see your left eye. You pick up another shard. You can see your chin. You pick up a third. You see your ear. You have all the pieces. They are sharp, clear, and high definition. But no matter how you arrange them in your hands, you cannot see your face. You cannot see the expression you are making. You cannot see the whole picture. This is exactly how the modern medical system sees you. We walk into a hospital, assuming that somewhere in a secure vault there is a master file on us. We imagine a perfect leather-bound book that tells the story of our health, from the asthma we had at age 5 to the flu of 2018 to the strange fatigue we felt last Tuesday. We assume the system sees the movie of our life. But it doesn't. It only sees the shards. The billing machine. The tool your doctor looks at while you're talking is called an electronic medical record, EMR. To you, it looks like a medical instrument. You see them typing and you think, they are writing down my story. But to the system, the EMR is a billing machine. It was not designed by healers to track wellness. It was designed by accountants to track transactions. It breaks the fluid, complex reality of your body into billable units, shards of glass that can be sold to an insurance company. Did the patient cough? Click box 402. Did we prescribe a steroid? Click box 901. Did we order a blood panel? Click box 110. It captures the what, the symptom, and the how much, the cost. But it throws away the why, the context. It shreds the narrative. It records that your blood pressure is high, but it deletes the fact that you just lost your job. It records the migraine, but it deletes the storm front that moved in last night. It records the data, but it loses the human. The vignette, Dr. Aris, meet Dr. Aris. She is a brilliant oncologist. She spent 12 years in school because she wanted to save lives. She cares deeply about the people who walk through her door. But Dr. Aris is drowning. She has 15 minutes to see you. In those 15 minutes, she must click 40 distinct boxes on her screen to justify her paycheck to the insurance algorithm. She is hunting for shards. She pulls up your file. She wants to see you, but the screen shows her list of disconnected snapshots. January 12th, blood pressure 120/80ths. February 14th, patient complains of fatigue. March 20th, prescription filled, lisinopril. She sees the dots. The machine gives her no way to draw the line. She misses the fact that your fatigue started exactly 3 days after you changed your diet. She misses the fact that your blood pressure spikes every time you visit your in-laws. She misses the pattern is doctor. Aris isn't a bad doctor. She is a pilot trying to fly a plane with a dashboard that only shows her the fuel gauge, but not the horizon. She is flying blind, and you are the passenger gripping the seat, hoping you land safely. The system has broken the mirror. To heal, we must find a way to glue it back together. We need to build the patient's ledger, a glass box that doesn't just count the costs, but remembers the context. Chapter 2. The Interaction Checker. Look at the pill in the palm of your hand. It is small, round, and white. It looks innocent. In a moment, you're going to swallow it. You are going to introduce this chemical into the complex, delicate ecosystem of your body because a stranger in a white coat told you to. You trust the doctor, but deep down, you feel a flicker of hesitation. You wonder, does this doctor know I'm taking magnesium supplements? Does she remember that I got dizzy the last time I took a drug like this 5 years ago? Does she know I have a busy week at work and can't afford to be tired? You want to ask, but you don't. You don't want to be difficult, so you swallow the pill and you hope. This is blind faith. In the high-stakes world of medicine, blind faith is dangerous. The human limit. We place an impossible burden on our doctors. We expect Dr. Aris to memorize the interaction effects of 20,000 different FDA-approved drugs. We expect her to cross-reference those 20,000 drugs against your unique history, your allergies, and your lifestyle, all in a 7-minute appointment. Dr. Aris is brilliant, but she is human. She is tired. She is hungry. She is looking at the broken mirror of the MR, which shows her your blood pressure but hides your deep history. When she writes that prescription, she's making a best guess based on the shards of data she can see. To be safe, we need a second pair of eyes. we need a specialist who never sleeps, never forgets, and never guesses, the digital specialist. In Part 5, we learned about the verifier, the agent that checks reality against the rules. In healthcare, we deploy a specific verifier called the interaction checker. Imagine a digital card that lives on your phone, not in the hospital server. It is connected to your patient's ledger, the open ledger that you own. This checker has one job. It is a shield. It stands guard at the doorway of your body. Nothing enters, no pill, no supplement, no treatment, without passing through the shield first. The vignette, the invisible save. Let's replay your appointment with Dr. Aris. She rushes in. She scans the broken mirror of her billing screen. She sees your high blood pressure. She relies on her training, which tells her that lisinopril is the gold standard treatment. She types the prescription. She hits enter. In the old world, the transaction is done. The error is sealed. In the Navigator's world, your interaction checker wakes up. It scans the new order against the deep history of your ledger in a microsecond. Crucially, it doesn't just look for allergies. It looks for context. Tick 801. New order received, lisinopril 10 milligrams. Tick 802. Scanning patient ledger for conflicts. Tick 803. Historical match found. Epoch ID 4092, 3 years ago. Tick 804. Record shows patient took benazepril, same drug class. Tick 805. Outcome. Recorded. Patient reported severe, persistent dry cough and insomnia. Tick 806. Intervention required. Reason, adverse history, match. Before Dr. Aris can stand up, a soft ping sounds on her computer. A notification from your ledger appears on her screen. It doesn't say error. It shows the work. Doctor, the patient's ledger records a sensitivity to ACE inhibitors from 2022. Dry cough, insomnia. Recommend checking before proceeding. Dr. Aris stops. She blinks. She looks at you. I didn't see that in my charts, she says. You had a bad reaction to benazepril? Yes, you say, remembering now. I couldn't sleep for weeks. Okay, she says, deleting the order. I'm glad we caught that. Let's try a calcium channel blocker instead. The peace of mind. The interaction checker did not replace the doctor. It augmented her. It saved her from making an innocent but painful mistake. But the real shift is in how you feel. When you walk out to the parking lot this time, you are not gripping the steering wheel with worry. You are not wondering if you are about to poison yourself. You know that the prescription in your hand has been vetted. You know that the shield was raised, the check was passed, and the medicine is safe. You are no longer just a body to be fixed. You are a navigator, and your ship is secure. Chapter 3. The pattern in the noise. Sit at your kitchen table for a moment. Look at the calendar on the wall. Look at the grocery receipts on the counter. Look at the bottle of vitamins. Look at the weather app on your phone. Somewhere in that scattered mess of data is the answer to why you feel sick. But you can't see it. If you live with a chronic condition, migraines, autoimmune flares, fatigue, digestive issues, you are living in a constant, exhausting state of detective work. You are always guessing. Maybe I feel tired because I ate gluten yesterday. Maybe my head hurts because it's raining. Maybe it's stress. Maybe it's just age. You keep a paper diary. You try elimination diets. You try sleeping more. You try sleeping less. You are trapping yourself in a maze of maybe. This is the problem of noise. Your life generates millions of data points every day, but they are too loud, too fast, and too disconnected for a human brain to process. You are listening to an orchestra where every instrument is playing a different song at the same time. To find the melody, you need a different kind of ear. You need a listening engine, the Scout. In Part 5, we introduced the Scout. This is the AI agent. Its superpower is not calculation. Its superpower is discovery. It can watch a million things at once and never blink. In the Healing Navigator, we turn the Scout inward. We connect it to your patient's ledger. We tell it, watch everything. We feed it the data from your smartwatch, your heart rate, your sleep quality. We feed it your digital grocery receipts, your diet. We connect it to the local weather station, barometric pressure, pollen count. We ask you to log just one simple thing. How do I feel today? And then the Scout waits. It doesn't guess. It doesn't have a theory about gluten or dairy. It just watches the flow of your life. It looks for the fingerprint, the discovery loop. For weeks, the Scout says nothing. It is building a baseline. It is learning the rhythm of you. Then, one Tuesday morning, you wake up with a blinding migraine. You reach for your phone to log the pain. But the Scout is already there. It has found the signal in the noise. It sends a notification to your glass box. Navigator, I have detected a causal signature. You open the ledger. It doesn't give you a vague guess. It shows you the math. It highlights the invisible thread that ties your life together. Tick 200, symptom. Spike, patient reports. Pain level 8, migraine. Tick 201, environmental scan, pollen, low. Sleep, 7 hours. Diet, normal. Tick 202, variable isolated. Barometric pressure dropped 22 mB in the last 6 hours. Tick 203, historical correlation. This pattern matches 5 of the last 6 migraine events. Tick 204, proposed causal signature, rapid barometric drop, migraine trigger. The validation, the teacher. This is the critical moment. The machine has found a pattern, but only you can confirm it. The Scout is the observer. You are the judge. You look at the data. You realize that, yes, every time it rains heavily, you get sick. It wasn't the cheese you ate. It wasn't stress. It was the sky. You press a button on the screen. Confirm pattern. By doing this, you write a new rule into the ledger. You teach the system. Tick 205. Navigator confirms storm front trigger. Tick 206. Protocol update. Alert Navigator when pressure drops 15 mB. The new conversation. This moment changes your life. You are no longer a victim of random bad luck. You have a map. You know that when the weather app shows a storm coming, you are vulnerable. You can take action. Go to bed early, hydrate, take medication before the pain starts. But the most profound shift happens when you go back to doctor. Aris. In the old world, you would walk into her office and say, I have headaches and I don't know why. Please fix me. You were a supplicant asking for a miracle. In the Navigator's world, you walk in and open your ledger. You show her the fingerprint. Doctor, you say, look at this. My migraines are clearly weather-dependent triggers. Dr. Aris looks at the data. She sees the correlation. She stops typing. She nods. Okay, she says. I see it. We don't need to run more invasive tests. We can treat this prophylactically during storm seasons. The dynamic has shifted. You are not a passenger. You are a partner. You have brought the light into the room, and for the first time, the doctor can see what you see. You have turned the noise into music. End of Part 6. Part 7. The Civic Navigator. The story of the town square. Forward to the leader who is flying blind. In part 6, we learned how to heal the fractured mirror of our own health. We learned that to manage a complex system, like a human body, we need to see the causal connections that link our actions to our outcomes. Now, we must scale that logic up. We are leaving the privacy of the doctor's office and stepping out onto the sidewalk. We are looking at the most complex, noisy, and frustrating system of all, the city. For too long, we have accepted that local government must be slow, opaque, and reactive. We assume that politics means guessing at solutions and hoping they work. We call this the fog of policy. But we are done with the fog. Mayor Eleanor doesn't need another 300-page consultant's report. She needs a town square simulator. She needs a causal engine built on the Verifier's certainty and managed by the Conductor's conscience. We are going to tear down the walls of City Hall and build a simulator for democracy. Let's turn on the lights. Chapter 1. The Fog of Policy. Walk outside your front door. Stand on the sidewalk for a moment. What do you see? Maybe you see a pothole that has been there for 6 months. Maybe you see a traffic jam that starts at exactly 5 p.m. every day. Maybe you see a "For Lease" sign on a storefront that used to be a thriving bakery. When we look at our cities, we often feel a mix of frustration and confusion. We ask ourselves, why doesn't the city fix this? Do they not care? Are they incompetent? We imagine that inside City Hall, there is a room full of people who are either lazy or corrupt. We imagine they are ignoring us. But the truth is scarier than that. The people in City Hall aren't ignoring the city. They just can't see it. The pilot with a painting. Meet Eleanor. Eleanor was just elected a mayor of a mid-sized town. She ran on a simple platform: fix Main Street. She wants to make the downtown walkable, safe, and vibrant. She is smart, she is honest, and she is desperate to do a good job. But Eleanor has a problem. She's trying to fly a plane, but instead of a radar screen, she has a painting. The tool she uses to make decisions is called the Consultant's Report. It is a 300-page PDF. It cost the city $50,000. It took 6 months to write. It is full of pie charts and traffic flow averages from last year. It is a static map. It is a fossil. Elena sits at her desk. She reads the report. It says recommendation: to improve pedestrian safety, install a traffic light at the intersection of 4th and Elm. Elena trusts the report. It looks scientific. It has data. So, she signs the order. The unintended consequence. 3 weeks later, the light is turned on. By 5:30 p.m., the town is in chaos. The new light creates a bottleneck that backs up traffic for 3 blocks. The delivery trucks trying to escape the jam use their GPS to divert through a quiet residential neighborhood. They rumble past houses at 5 a.m., waking up families. Meanwhile, because the traffic is so bad on 4th Street, nobody stops at the local coffee shop anymore. Revenue drops 20%. The owner lays off a barista. Eleanor is horrified. She tried to fix one thing, and she broke 3 others. This is the tragedy of modern governance. Our leaders are operating in the fog of policy. They are attempting to perform surgery on a complex living organism, the city, using tools that only show them what the patient looked like 6 months ago. They make a cut, and they hope. And when the patient bleeds, when the neighborhood gets noisy or the business fails, they apologize. We accept this as politics as usual. But it isn't politics. It is a failure of instrumentation. Eleanor doesn't need a new report. She needs a way to see the future before she builds it. She needs a safe place to crash the plane so she can learn how to fly. Chapter 2. The Town Square Simulator. Imagine you are a pilot learning to fly a 747. You do not learn by loading 400 passengers onto a real jet, taking off and hoping you don't crash. You would kill everyone on board. Instead, you sit in a box on the ground. You sit in a flight simulator. You crash the plane 100 times. You stall the engines. You land in a thunderstorm. You break the wings. You make your mistakes in a world where gravity applies, but consequences do not. You learn the physics of disaster without the pain of death. Now, look at City Hall. Mayor Elena is piloting a city of 50,000 people. She is making decisions that affect their livelihoods, their safety, and their homes. But she has no simulator. She has to fly the real plane with real passengers on her very first try. If she makes a mistake, like the traffic light on 4th and Elm, real people suffer. The shop goes bankrupt. The neighbourhood loses sleep. This fear of breaking things creates paralysis. It is why politicians move so slowly. They are terrified of crashing the plane. Eleanor needs a safe place to crash. She needs a town square simulator, the digital citizens. In the Navigator's world, Eleanor does not sign the construction order immediately. Instead, she walks into the glass box. She loads up a digital twin of her city. It looks like a video game, but underneath the graphics, it is running the rigorous physics of the causal engine. But a city isn't just buildings and roads. A city is people. To make the simulation real, Eleanor populates it with digital citizens. These are not average demographics. These are vector cards, specialized agents that simulate the specific needs and behaviors of her actual constituents. The commuter card. Its goal is velocity. It wants to get from the suburbs to the factory in under 20 minutes. The shop owner card. Its goal is friction. It wants cars to slow down and park. It needs turnover. The resident card. Its goal is peace. It monitors decibel levels, the architect's values. Here is the critical shift. Before Elena hits play, she must act as the architect. She must define the rules of the game. She doesn't just ask the machine to fix traffic. She gives it value constraints. Constraint A. Safety. Ambulance response time must never exceed 6 minutes. Constraint B. Economy. Main Street. Foot traffic cannot drop below 500 people hour. Constraint C. Quality of life. Residential noise levels must not exceed 60 decibels after 8 p.m. She is telling the system, these are the things I am not willing to sacrifice. The rehearsal. Now, Elena inputs the consultant's idea. Install traffic light at 4th and Elm. She hits play. The simulator fast-forwards time. Elena watches the screen. She sees the commuter cards. Red dots pile up at the light. She sees the ambulance stuck in the gridlock. Alert. Safety constraint violated. Response time, 9 minutes. She sees the red dots swarm into the quiet neighbourhood to escape the jam. Alert. Quality of life constraint violated. Decibel level 75 dB. Elena watches the disaster unfold in high definition. She sees the angry phone calls she would have received. She sees the editorial in the newspaper that would have been written. She takes a deep breath. She hits undo. The traffic clears. The noise stops. The mistake vanishes. The geodesic path. Now, Eleanor plays. She is no longer paralyzed by fear. She is empowered by curiosity. What if, she types, What if we install a roundabout instead? And what if we lower the speed limit to 20 miles per hour? She hits play. She watches the simulation against her constraints. The commuter cards slow down, but they don't stop. Safety constraint passed. Because the cars are moving slowly, drivers glance at the shops. Economy constraint passed. Because there is no slamming of brakes, the neighbourhood is quiet. Quality of life. Constraint passed. The map glows green. Eleanor has found the geodesic path in physics. This is the shortest line between 2 points on a curved surface. In governance, it is the path of least resistance and maximum harmony. She didn't find it by guessing, and she didn't find it by letting the AI decide for her. She found it by defining her values first, and then crashing the car in the simulator until the road met her rules. She prints the results. She isn't just hoping this will work. She knows. Now she is ready to sign the order. But before she breaks ground, she has one more thing to do. She has to show you. Chapter 3. The public receipt. Stand in the back of a town hall meeting for 5 minutes. You can feel the temperature in the room. It is hot with suspicion. A citizen stands at the microphone shouting at the city council. He is angry about a new zoning law. He is red in the face. "Who are you doing this for?" he demands. "Are you helping the developers? Are you helping your friends? Why did you ignore the traffic study?" The council members sit behind their raised dais, looking tired. They try to explain, but their words sound hollow. The citizen is angry because he is looking at a black box. He sees the output, the new law, but he cannot see the input, the reasoning. Because he cannot see the logic, his mind fills the gap with conspiracy. He assumes corruption because he has no evidence of competence. Trust grows in the light. Suspicion grows in the dark. To fix our cities, we don't just need better decisions. We need a way to prove that those decisions were made honestly. We need the public receipt, the open ledger. In the agentic enterprise architecture, every glassbox agent writes its thoughts into a reasoning ledger. In the civic navigator's world, we take that ledger and we put it on the internet. We turn the private notes of the mayor into a public utility. Imagine that every time Mayor Elena runs a simulation in the Town Square simulator, it generates a permanent, unerasable entry in the city's open ledger. Crucially, this ledger doesn't just record the final vote. It records the rehearsals. It records the mistakes. It records the paths she explored and rejected. It is a receipt that shows the work that killed the bad ideas, the vignette, the defense of the roundabout. Let's go back to Eleanor. She has decided to install the roundabout and lower the speed limit. She knows this is the right choice because she crashed the city in the simulator 10 times to prove it. Now, she has to face the public. In the old world, she would stand at the podium and use rhetoric. "Trust me," she would say. "This is for the good of the community." Half the room would not believe her. In the navigator's world, Elena pulls out her phone. She projects the public receipt onto the screen behind her. It looks like a bill of sale for a decision. Tick 501, simulation run. Option A, install traffic light. Safety check, failed. Reason. Simulation showed gridlock, trapped the fire truck on 4th, Saint response time increased by 4 minutes. Verdict, rejected, violates safety constraint. Tick 502, simulation run. Option B, do nothing. Safety check, failed. Reason, accident rate projected to rise by 15% over winter due to ice on hill. Verdict, rejected, violates safety constraint. Tick 503, simulation run, option C. Roundabout 20 miles per hour zone. Safety check, passed. Economy, check, passed. Noise check, passed. Verdict approved. The room goes quiet. The angry citizen steps up to the mic. He looks at the screen. He points to option A. I wanted a stoplight, he says. Why didn't you do that? Elena points to the red text next to option A. We tried it, she says. In the simulation, it trapped the fire truck. We couldn't take that risk. The citizen pauses. He might still hate roundabouts. He might still be annoyed that he has to drive slower, but his anger loses its fuel. He cannot say she is corrupt. He cannot say she didn't try. He can see the ghost of the stoplight that she killed to save the city. Lowering the heat. This is the ultimate promise of the civic navigator. We will never agree on everything. Politics is the art of disagreement. But there is a difference between disagreeing with someone's values and distrusting their motives. The public receipt removes the mystery of motive. When we can see the trade-offs, when we can see that the council chose safety over speed or green space over parking, we can have a real conversation. We can argue about the priorities instead of screaming about conspiracies. The glass box turns the fortress of City Hall into a greenhouse. It lets us see what is growing inside. And for the first time, we can feel like we are all gardening in the same soil. End of Part 7. Part 8, The Household Navigator, the story of the invisible load, forward to the family drowning in silence. We have travelled a long way together. We have fixed the dashboard of our health, Part 6, and turned on the lights in the town square, Part 7. Now, we come to the final and most intimate frontier. Home. This is often the hardest place to apply the Navigator's protocol because it is the place where we feel we shouldn't need systems. We think love should be enough. We think that if we just care enough, the logistics of modern family life will sort themselves out, but they don't. Instead, we find ourselves crushed by the invisible load. We find ourselves fighting not about big things, but about forgotten milk, missed appointments, and the mystery of where the money went. We are not fighting because we are broken. We are fighting because we are operating in silos. We are trying to run the complex enterprise of a family without a shared dashboard. It is time to end the silence. Chapter 1. The Sunday Scaries. It is 7 p.m. on a Sunday. The sun has gone down. The weekend is over. Walk into your living room. Look at the people sitting on the couch. The TV is playing a show that no one is really watching. The house is quiet. But if you could listen to the airwaves inside your family's heads, the noise would be deafening. You feel a specific kind of tightness in your chest. It is not quite fear, and it is not quite sadness. It is the heavy, suffocating pressure of the anticipation. This is the Sunday Scaries. It is the moment when the reality of the coming week crashes into the peace of the weekend. And for millions of families, it is the loneliest moment of the week. The private fog. Meet the Millers. They look like a happy couple. They have been married for 10 years. They love their kids. But right now, they are sitting 3 feet apart and they are miles away from each other. Look at Dad. He is staring at his phone. To the outside world, he looks like he is checking sports scores. In reality, he is doing high-speed mental math. The mortgage pulls tomorrow. $2,400. The car insurance hits Tuesday. $180. Payday isn't until Friday. Do we have enough? He opens the banking app. He sees the number. It looks low. He feels a spike of adrenaline. He wonders if he should cancel the Netflix subscription. He wonders if he should tell his wife not to buy groceries until Wednesday, but he doesn't want to start a fight, so he says nothing. He is trapped in the fog of finance. Look at Mom. She is staring at the wall. To the outside world, she looks like she is resting. In reality, she is running a complex logistical simulation. Leo has the dentist on Tuesday at 4 o'clock. Soccer practice is at 5 o'clock. That overlaps. Who is driving? Did I sign the permission slip for the field trip? We are out of milk. She feels a wave of exhaustion. She wonders if she should ask her husband to handle the dentist, but she assumes he is busy or stressed. She doesn't want to nag, so she says nothing. She is trapped in the fog of logistics, the missing dashboard. If the Millers were running a business, this situation would be considered gross negligence. Imagine a company where the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, keeps the budget in his head and never tells the operations manager. Imagine a logistics director who routes the trucks but never looks at the calendar. That company would go bankrupt in a month. In a business, we have tools, we have dashboards, we have enterprise resource planning, ERP systems. Everyone looks at the same screen, everyone sees the same fuel gauge. But in the American home, we operate in silos. We fragment the data. The money is in one head, the schedule is in another, the supply chain, the pantry, is a mystery to everyone until the milk runs out. The friction of silence. Because the Millers lack a dashboard, they lack a shared reality. When Dad says, "Hey, can we spend less on groceries this week?" he isn't trying to be mean. He is reacting to the red light he sees on his private dashboard. But Mom doesn't see that light. She only hears criticism. She thinks, "I am doing everything I can to feed this family, and you are micromanaging me." The friction sparks. The fight starts. They aren't fighting about money. They aren't fighting about love. They are fighting about visibility. They are flying a plane where the pilot and the co-pilot are looking at different maps, and neither of them can see the horizon. The Millers don't need a marriage counsellor. They need an instrument panel. Chapter 2. The Family Orchestrator. If the Millers were a business, they would be in crisis meetings. They are bleeding energy. They are missing deadlines. Their key stakeholders, the parents, are burned out. In the corporate world, the solution to burnout is usually hiring. You bring in an assistant to handle the scheduling. You bring in an accountant to handle the bills. You offload the drudgery so you can focus on the strategy. But the Millers cannot afford a staff. They cannot hire a personal assistant or a CFO. So, they decide to build a digital team. They enter the Navigator's world. They don't buy a robot butler that tries to do everything. They build a family orchestrator, a set of specific, reliable vector cards that live in the glass box and handle the boring stuff for them. Crucially, they do not just switch these agents on and hope for the best. They act as architects. They define the values that the system must protect. The solvency card, the financial shield. Dad decides to tackle the money first. He is tired of the mental math. He is tired of the fear that he forgot a payment. He activates the solvency card. He doesn't just hand over his bank password to a black box. That would be terrifying. Instead, he writes a constitution for his money. He sets negative constraints. Rule 1, pay the electric, water, and internet bills automatically on the due date. Rule 2, hard constraint. If any bill is more than 15% higher than the 6-month average, do not pay. Pause and alert me. The card goes to work. It becomes the verifier. It watches the accounts 24/7. Tick 101, electric bill received. Amount $120. Average $115. Status, within threshold. Paying, tick 102. Internet bill, received. Amount, $80. Average, $80. Status, within threshold. Paying, tick 103. Water bill, received. Amount, $400. Average, $50. Status, violation action, paused. At 2 p.m. on a Tuesday, Dad gets a ping on his phone. He isn't stressed. It's just a notification. Navigator, solvency protocol activated. Water bill, $400, exceeds safety variance. Payment paused for your review. Dad checks the basement. He finds a toilet running continuously in the guest bathroom. He fixes it. In the old world, he wouldn't have noticed that bill until the money was gone. He would have been angry. Now, the agent caught the leak before it became a disaster. The verifier is watching the wall, so Dad doesn't have to. The sanctuary card, the boundary defender. Mum tackles the schedule. She is tired of being the bad guy who has to say no to invitations. She is tired of the guilt she feels when she tries to protect family time. She activates the sanctuary card. She feeds it the school calendar and the soccer schedule. But then she does something powerful. She turns her emotional need for rest into a technical protocol. She defines a sanctuary block. Rule: Sunday nights from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. are family protected time. Hard constraint, no new events allowed. Auto-reject all non-emergency requests. 2 days later, the PTA sends an email blast. Emergency planning meeting this Sunday at 6 p.m. via Zoom. In the old world, Mum would have seen this on her phone. She would have felt the familiar pang of obligation. She would have sighed, said, "I guess I have to," and sacrificed her rest. She would have used her own willpower to fight the intrusion. But the agent intercepts the invite. It checks the ledger. It sees the sanctuary block. It doesn't ask Mum what to do. She has already told it what to do. Tick 205. Invite received, PTA meeting, Sunday, 6 p.m. Tick 206. Checking calendar. Conflict found, sanctuary block. Tick 207. Action, auto-declined sent. Later that evening, Mum checks her glass box. She sees the log. Navigator, I declined the PTA meeting to preserve family protected time. Mum feels a wave of relief. She didn't have to be the bad guy. She didn't have to make an excuse. The system held the line for her. She defined the value of her peace, and the machine defended it. The quiet shift. A week goes by. The Millers are sitting at dinner. Dad isn't checking his bank app under the table. He knows the solvency card will tell him if a threshold is breached. Mum isn't mentally scanning the calendar. She knows the sanctuary card is guarding the gate. The friction is gone. The low-grade panic has evaporated. They are no longer acting as the CFO and the logistics manager. They have handed those jobs to the glass box. Now, they are free to just be a husband and a wife eating dinner with their children in a house that runs itself. Chapter 3. The Invisible Ledger. There is a magic trick that happens in almost every home. A dirty sock is left on the floor. The next day, it reappears in a drawer, clean and folded. The milk carton is empty. 2 days later, a full one appears in the fridge. The child needs a dentist appointment. Suddenly, it is on the calendar. To the person who didn't do the work, this looks like magic. The house just works. But to the person who did the work, it doesn't feel like magic. It feels like a burden. And worse, it feels like a secret. This is the corrosive nature of invisible labour. It isn't just the physical act of scrubbing or driving. It is the mental weight of noticing. It is the cognitive load of realising the milk is low, remembering the dentist, and tracking the socks. When this labour is invisible, it cannot be valued. The person doing it feels taken for granted. The person not doing it feels nagged. Resentment grows in the silence. The Millers don't need a chore chart. A chore chart is just a to-do list. It looks forward at the work that needs to be done. They need a done list. They need a way to look backward and see the mountain they have climbed. The map of effort. In Part 5, we learned about the open ledger. It is the tool that allows us to trust an AI agent because it records every single thought and action it takes. In the Household Navigator, we take that technology and apply it to the family. We build an invisible labour ledger. This is not a scorecard. Scorecards create competition. They imply that if Mum wins, Dad loses. This is a map of effort. It is a shared, neutral record of how the family survives. The Millers connect their family orchestrator to this ledger. When the solvency card pays the electric bill, it writes a line in the ledger. When Mum updates the shared calendar, the ledger records the planning event. When Dad checks off groceries on the shared list, the ledger records the logistics event, the Friday night review. Let's look at the Millers on a Friday evening. In the old world, this was fight night. They were tired, they were stressed. Mum would snap, "I feel like I do everything around here." Dad would snap back, "I worked 50 hours this week." But tonight, they open the glass box. They pull up the ledger on the kitchen tablet. They scroll through the week. Tick 500, agent paid mortgage, solvency protocol. Tick 501, Mum logged 45 minutes researching summer camps. Tick 502, Dad logged 60 minutes restocking pantry recycling. Tick 503, agent declined 3 conflicting calendar invites, sanctuary protocol. Tick 504, Mum scheduled Leo's flu shot. Tick 505, Dad drove car to mechanic. Dad looks at line 501. He pauses. He didn't know Mum had started looking at camps. He realises that task, which looked like magic when the brochure appeared on the table, was actually 45 minutes of intense cognitive work. "I didn't realise you did that already," he says. "Thank you." Mum looks at line 502. She realises she didn't have to think about dinner for 3 nights because Dad handled the food logistics. "Thank you," she says. The dynamic shifts. The resentment melts because the invisibility cloak has been lifted. They are not enemies fighting over who is more tired. They are teammates looking at the scoreboard of their shared victory against the chaos. The new Sunday. It is Sunday night again. The sun has gone down, the TV is off, the house is quiet. But the Sunday scaries are gone. The tightness in the chest has vanished. Dad isn't doing mental math on the couch. The solvency card has already reported that the cash flow is green. Mum isn't running logistical simulations. The sanctuary card has confirmed the week is viable and protected. The noise is gone. The fog has lifted. They look at each other. They are not logistics managers anymore. They are not CFOs. They don't have to be. They are just a husband and a wife sitting in a home that runs itself. They have handed the heavy lifting to the machine, and in return, they have kept the only thing that matters: each other. End of Part 8.